And we wanted to talk about conditioning.
There we go. Okay.
And what conditioning is the things that we tell our children to do, not to do. Don't touch this, don't touch that, don't say this, don't say that. And that turn into the personality that they have. So we wanted to talk about that and what it does and the degree of trauma that kids receive from conditioning. Some are deep rooted in their lives because how hard people have been on them, not to do certain things, not to say certain things, and how to behave, no time and place. And with all these conditioning, a lot of time we find the conditioning also in church. When you grow up, there's certain way that you should be. There's certain clothes that you should wear, and if you didn't wear these type of clothes, then you were not part of the group, or you were ostracized. I also believe that there's certain churches, like when I was growing up, if you wear a dress that were not below your knee, sometimes they'll call you in front of the church.
What?
Yes. And say, oh yeah, this is Mel right here. This is how she comes to church.
Are you serious?
Yeah, to shame you. And that was really back in the days. I don't really think that people would do that today.
No.
But it was just one of those things. And the church that I used to go to, you couldn't wear jewelry.
What?
You couldn't wear jewelry, you couldn't wear pants. So
as a woman.
As a woman. So you couldn't wear makeup either. So the idea of putting lipsticks and nail polish.
So it was just you in a dress?
And the dress all the time, and it was forbidden for you to wear pants. Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was like extra traditional.
Oh yeah, very traditional.
And it's like nowadays, church is like, come as you are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they like to say. That's what they claim.
Mm-hmm.
Even though when some people do end up coming as they are, then we got to talk about the people of the church, because it's not the church. It's not the church itself.
No, it's the people.
It's always been about the people. And it's been about their judgment, the extreme judgment of church folks. And when somebody comes into church with jeans, a t-shirt,
or a dress that kind of look a little tight, or maybe a little too short,
you are going to be the talk of the church.
Yeah.
Why?
Because people are very judgmental and critical, but only when it's not their family.
And even with their family, they probably still do that too.
Well, but they were not going to be as hard as though people should know. And some people just don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't really grow up in church and religion, and I think this is really foolish for people to talk about love and acceptance, but it's not demonstrated.
And it's even worse when you are a Black child, because you have to go through 10 times more conditioning than your average child, because your parents know that the world looks at you a lot differently. And you have to be a certain way in order to fit into this society.
And to feel accepted. So, say for instance, when you were a child, when children are born, they're free, they want to play here, they want to touch everything, they even want to put their fingers in the socket, electric socket. You have to protect them. And I think the overprotection of that, sometimes we create trauma in our children and we don't even know it. For instance, if you grew up in a family that's very overly critical, then they tend to say things, maybe not intentionally, that is hurtful, although they were not trying to hurt, but they say things and the tone of it may come across so harsh that you feel, do these people really love me?
Yeah, because as a parent, you can never really know how the things that you say are taken by your child, because you may have the greatest intentions, but your child, you don't know what's going on in that brain. And so your child could put on an outfit that may not be the most flattering, and you tell her that it's not the most flattering, and then all of a sudden your child is over here thinking that they don't look good. And it's never was about the fact that they didn't look good. It was about the outfit. You're just trying to help them out and help them figure something else out. But for your child, they're thinking, wow, like, maybe I don't look that good.
Yeah, the message was not received the way that you wanted to be received.
And I think that's what a lot of parents need to work on, is how they deliver that kind of message to their kids, especially like between the ages of, like, honestly, like 4 or 5 to about maybe 13, 14, maybe even older. Because you know, the way you say something can absolutely determine the way people's live on in their life.
Yeah,
like
perception about life.
Exactly. I think this can kind of lead into how you have been conditioned to act in the world, because I remember as a child, you picking me up from school, you're very successful businesswoman, and so you have lots of clients and you're constantly talking on the phone. And I remember, because my mom has an accent. It's not a hefty accent to where you can't understand her, but it's an accent. And so I remember when you would hop on the phone, the accent completely disappearing. You became an American woman, and I was always in awe of how you changed your voice to sound like somebody that you're not. Wow. Because as soon as that phone came off, it was a completely different person. And I just remember sitting back and just listening to you talk. I'm like, why does she do that? Like, why is she trying to make herself sound like that? I didn't understand it until I started to have to do it as well.
Well, this is what code switching is all about.
Yeah. And you know what, Mommy? I think I remember when I first started to have to code switch, which was in the 3rd grade, because I slightly remember being a bit country until I got to the 3rd grade. And I went to a Catholic school, predominantly white. Everybody talked the same. And I remember hearing myself, and I was like, I don't talk like them, and I'm trying to make myself talk like these people. And I didn't get the connection until, I was in 6th grade, and I was now in a predominantly Black school, and everybody is telling me that I talk white, and I realized that I had been changing my voice for so long. It's like I couldn't change it back anymore. Like, the code switching was now my voice, like and I was between the ages of, like, what, 8 and 12, where I was really finding my voice. And I had been around these white people for so long. I think that kind of became my sound, where I sounded like the people that I was around. And then as time progressed and I was in majority Black schools, I'm trying to force myself to kind of sound like them, even though I knew it would always sound off, because that was no longer my voice anymore. And so because people used to say that to me all the time. you talk white, you talk white, you talk white. And I just remember that used to bother me so bad.
Yeah, because you want to fit in.
Exactly. Like, I just wanted people to hear me and be like, oh, yeah, that's a black girl.
Yeah.
And I still to this day, like, I remember I was meeting my boyfriend's mom over the phone, and she thought I was white by how I talked. And I was like, dang, like, I thought I grew out of that. And and you know what? I also think that people need to kind of get rid of that stigma of talking white, because you don't talk white. I talk very proper.
Right.
I talk and I pronounce my words in a way where everybody can understand everything I'm saying. And I don't think that necessarily means you talk white. I think that just means that you have a very proper dialect, and there's nothing wrong with that.
I feel like code switching is something that we as a people, especially black people, have been doing for a long time. Because sometimes we want to sound and look a certain way because we don't want to be judged. We don't want people to be critical of us, because we want to feel accepted like everybody else. And I don't know whether this is a racial thing, if we are the only people that code switch.
I don't think that we are the only people that code switch, because I know that there are other races who do also code switch. But I know that a lot of white people don't realize that that is something that we do. Like, I actually didn't realize how oblivious white people actually were to a lot of struggles that people of other races, especially black people, go through. And but then I also kind of had to sit there and realize that I was very oblivious to the struggles that other races go through. Yes, there are tons and tons of like Asian and Latino people who code switch just as heavy as we do. And it's literally only for white people. It's only to fit into white people's standards. And I just don't think white people realize the amount of power that they have over everything that we do. And
because they are the standard bearers, they are the people that make the rules, so everybody else have to bend to the rules.
Exactly. For example, did you know that a lot of Muslim people have certain protocols that they do before they go into the airport so they don't get profiled? A lot of Muslim people go through a lot of worry going through the airport, any type of transportation system, because they know that people look at them a certain way. And I was hearing somebody talk about that. I thought it was so disheartening to hear, because they will take off all their religious garment just to avoid.
Just to fit in the normalcy of,
because they know how people are. The last thing we want is for them to get profiled for any type of terrorism or anything like that just because of their religion. And this applies for both black men and black women, but I was hearing a lot of black men tell their stories about the way that they've had to have their hair in job interviews, and how their hair has determined what kind of job that they get. And obviously the same thing applies to black women, because when it comes to conditioning, you know, I remember wanting to get my hair straightened for every important event in my life. And I think it wasn't until 7th grade, actually, you had taken me to the African hair salon, and you let me get box braids for the first time. And then I took the box braids out. I think I had them in for like 3 months, and I took them out, and it left me with the most beautiful braid out that I ever seen in my entire life. My hair was full, and I was just in love. I was in love.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I have to wear my hair like this all the time. And I remember for picture day, I took that same braid out and I got a little pick and I was picking out my roots because I saw some girl on YouTube doing it. And I was picking out my roots, and that's how I had my hair for my picture day. For the first time in my life, my hair was not straightened for a picture day. And I think that changed everything for me when I saw my hair look that way. But it also kind of like, I also kind of had to realize that braid out was not my natural hair texture. My natural hair texture is very kinky, coily, and I normally, if I wash my hair and I just leave it there, it's not going to dry in those curls. And I also think that was another thing of conditioning that I had, was not really loving my natural hair because I never got a chance to see other people wear their natural hair. And I'm not talking about a braid out. I'm talking about real tight, kinky hair, and everybody be like, yes, they look amazing.
Right.
All I would hear is other older Black women near me saying, why is their hair not done? Why do they look like that? And I'd be like, oh, I can't wear my hair like that.
Because that's what you're going to get.
Because I know that I'm going to be dragged. And I can't have that. So just stuff like that really does have an impact on who we are as people and how we go about the world. And, you know, the hair talk, the talk, all of it.
Oh, the way you dress,
yes,
the way you walk, the way you move in the world, the way you show up, even your personality. You cannot be too much of anything. It's because that's, you know, you're going to make somebody feel uncomfortable if you show up being too much of yourself. So you always have to dumb it down, maybe is the word. So that's what we got. We appreciate you listening. Check us out. Like, share, subscribe. Love you.